All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So we're talking Seattle. The Seahawks are one of the most intriguing teams in the NFL, in my opinion. And the thing is, they're coming off back-to-back 9-8 seasons, right? And their defense for the last 2 years, last couple of years, have been just the issue, right? So they removed Pete Carroll for their head coach, and they replace him with former defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens in Mike Macdonald. John Schneider has assumed full personnel control, and you've been seeing it, especially on the defensive side, with notable departures in Bobby Wagner, Jordan Brooks, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, and then offensively, guys like Will Disley, Damian Lewis. And we heard a quote from John Schneider saying, we're not going like, all right, we're going to tank or whatever. That mindset does not exist. And that's a mandate from team owner Jody Allen. We want to be the best. And I look at this team, especially defensively, and I think they're going to be much more improved next season, even with the losses of guys like Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks. I get it. They still have holes. They still have a couple of flaws. We look at the offensive line. We look at the defensive line. Could use another linebacker as well. But guys, I think they found their man in Mike Macdonald. The thing with Seattle's defense is this. On paper, they're loaded. Like, this defense is literally loaded, folks. Leonard Williams comes back, right? Jerron Reed, Tremont Jones, Tyrell Dodson, and Jerome Baker are two new linebacker moves. Nwosu was on his way to stardom and then unfortunately got injured early on last season, right? You picked up Rayshon Jenkins from the Jacksonville Jaguars. You got Julian Love. You got Reek Wood. You got Devon Witherspoon. Their defense is so good. And I think what they were just missing was the right personnel, or sorry, I should say the right coach to fit their personnel. So it might not be right away, right? The Seattle Seahawks this upcoming season might not go 13-4, but their defense is going to be severely improved. And if their defense is severely improved, well, folks, you're going to see a 10-win season. But before we get into it, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Seahawks fans, missed you guys so much. Thank you for running up our last video. If you could try and get this video to 500 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. I also do want to apologize real quick. I didn't really notice it all day. I am desperately ill. And yeah, so I sound a little bit janky. But folks, offensively, here's the bottom line. They have the 16th pick, right? They don't have much draft capital, especially because of the Leonard Williams trade at last year's deadline. But you have Geno Smith, who is pretty much free for this upcoming season. And then they also traded for Sam Howell, which makes this much more interesting. I'm not saying that they should draft Michael Penix at pick number 16. I'm not saying they should trade up and get him. But I do think when they hired former Washington offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb as their new OC, I got to tell you, I really love the fit of Michael Penix staying back and coming on over to the Seattle Seahawks. And real quick, I get it that everybody has concerns with Michael Penix, especially because of all the season-ending injuries he's sustained. But folks, at the end of the day, Michael Penix at Indiana, it was just a chaotic nightmare. I think most players who play football for the Indiana University team, it's usually a nightmare. Like, they're just, Indiana football is never been good. I'm not going to say it never will be good, but you get what I'm saying here. I'm not going to go back and evaluate a guy like Jaden Daniels in his first couple of years with Arizona State and be like, he didn't look great there, so I'm not feeling it. Michael Penix brought this team to the damn championship game. He had 36 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, completion percentage of 65.4. The year before, his first year at Washington, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And the thing is this, you would still be able to run the whole season with Geno Smith, right? I'm not saying Michael Penix needs to come in here and start right away. I think ideally what Seattle should do is this. I think they should trade back from pick number 16, pick up a late first and an early second, and then you get your offensive lineman, and then you get a guy like Michael Penix, because as much hope as I want Sam Howell to have in his career, I don't think the answer is going to be in Seattle. And Geno is still Geno Smith. You know, he can get the job done. Are they going to win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith? Well, that remains to be seen. But he's going to be, 34 by the end of this upcoming season. It is time for them to start looking into other options, other avenues. But my point is, I think Michael Penix throws the best ball in college football last season. I think he is got a hell of an arm. And I think, we're just moving into this offensive league. And Seattle's issue has not been offensively, right? It's been defensively. But I got my guy in Mike McDonald to be the head coach. He is going to single handedly fix this scheme, fix this defense up, and get them playing this upcoming season at worst above average or at worst average. And that is a huge leg up from their defense the last two seasons. They are loaded and littered with defensive personnel or talent, and they just needed a guy who can get the best out of them, right? And I think that's Mike McDonald. But offensively, folks, you got DK Metcalf, you got Tyler Lockett, you got JSN and Zach Charbonnet coming off intriguing rookie seasons. You've got interesting guys all across the offensive line. Once again, I know they still have some holes that they're looking to fill. I think they have a sneaky tight end room, especially with the addition of Pharaoh Brown, but Noah Fant can definitely get the job done. I think he's poised for a breakout season. And at the end of the day, I still got Kenneth Walker III. So it's like your team, age-wise, is built to win. And it's built to win for the next couple of seasons. So I'm down to run it for another year with Geno Smith because I think he's done a hell of a job. If they can stay healthy, like you could say that with every team in the league, but I gotta say, I really think Michael Penix Jr. to the Seattle Seahawks really works out. And if Geno and the Seattle Seahawks offense, if it's not working to start the season, you run it with Penix. Who knows? Maybe Penix even wins the battle out in camp. And once again, no knock on Sam Howell. I get it. He threw a ton of interceptions last year with Washington, but he has starting experience. I think he's a great backup QB to have on your team. And even if they don't end up drafting a QB and they, decide to go offensive line and defensive line and linebacker and maybe pick up another quarterback because they don't have like all this crazy draft capital, I still like it. I still like it running with Geno Smith, back-to-back winning seasons. Keep in mind, man, the Seattle Seahawks haven't had more than one losing season in the last like 13 years. These guys are winners. And as you hear from John Schneider, like, they're not going anywhere. They don't plan on tanking. They don't plan on tanking for the first overall pick. Like, the time is now. And Geno Smith, Sam Howell, maybe Michael Penix paired up with all those guys on offense and paired up with all these new guys on the defensive side and already existing players. Like, folks, you look at the secondary, especially with the addition of Rayshon Jenkins, with Julian Love, Reek Woolen, Devon Witherspoon. Devin had a phenomenal rookie season. So I think they're really close, and I think that's been very evident in the last two seasons. I mean, hell, they were even winning in the first half 2 years ago in the wild card game against the San Francisco 49ers, but I like what they're building. It might not be right away this season, but they're at worst going to hover around 500. At worst, even if they don't make any crazy moves in the draft, they're at worst going to hover around 500. But once again, you got your guy, Mike McDonald. I like the overall outlook for Seattle. So, folks, let me know your thoughts on Penix coming to Seattle in the first round, second round, whatever. But let me know your thoughts on the Seattle Seahawks current team. What would you look for in the draft, and how are you feeling? Thank you guys for watching. We will see you soon.